Hello. Hi, everyone. Good evening to all of you.
Amit, I just have two clarifications. Can I ask now?
Sorry?
I just
Yeah, even I have
two
some
doubts. Can I ask now?
Yeah, sure, please.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Are you able to see?
Hmm.
Here, not this. Here, for to know whether they have family or single, I just calculated with a field like with one field. What I did is in this parent and child, if the parent and child column is 0, I took as a single. If other than 0, I took as a family. Is it correct?
So, parents and children.
Yeah.
Yes. So, it will go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. 0
And
is single.
basically, so family or in the family or single, basically, it's like, you will take the parent, children, sibling, and spouse also. Because sibling and spouse is also like the family only, right? So, like if a person is traveling with a spouse, so that is like uh, that person was traveling with a family member.
Yeah.
So
So
you
we
have to
need
take sibling. So you need
sibling
to
and
take both the fields, sibling and spouse, and parent and children.
both we need to take.
Yes.
Okay, I took only one parent and child. So I thought, okay. And one more. Uh, yeah, in this Embark and class data, how can I just want to recreate this one? This how can we do that fair status? Like fair must be in in each region. I mean, they embark in three different areas are there. If they embark in different areas, the fair is different, and also there are more
Right.
than one people boarded. Then the fair also will be different. So how can we do that status? Like I don't know whether it's related to high, medium, low. How they calculated this fair status?
See, this is just like a small. The idea was over here. Like if you will see, there is a column of fair in the
Yeah,
data source.
yeah,
If you
here,
go in the
yeah,
data source, right. So what you can do is you can just use this column to have that bifurcation. That okay, based your understanding, you are saying if that fare is less than equal to 10, you can call it as low. And if the fare is more than 10 and less than equal to suppose 80 or 90, then you call it as medium. Otherwise, you call it as high. So that is how you can do that grouping. So we are just trying to have a bifurcation or create a field over here in the data where we are trying to suggest whether the fare was low, medium, or high. So that is something we are doing based on the this just that fare field. So you can do it like this. So take that range that if the
yeah.
fare is less than 8,
That I can
uh,
do like before 10, I medium. I mean $10 before that, but it's not. I mean, correct way. As I feel like because
yeah,
I mean
even
there are three people, so they have a more fair. If there are five people, they have more fair, and also they embark in some Southampton and some other places. The fare is different, right? So
no, no. So the point is, we don't have that information with us right now, right? Like, okay, I
yeah,
agree to it.
yeah,
Basically, you can't identify that even if you see we have this the column of passenger class as well, right? In this, like if you see passenger
yeah,
class as in class 1, class 2, class 3, that
yeah,
itself is an identifier. If you see class 1, the ticket will be high. If a person is traveling in class 2, that cost will be on the medium side. If you
yes,
see the class 3, that will be the lowest, right? So
yes,
itself, if you see class itself is an identifier of that fare. So what we wanted to do was we just wanted to make a field where we are bifurcating it in the term of low, medium, and high. So that is why we are saying if you see right now in the class 3, the fare is revolving around this 8
yeah,
or
yeah,
9 something like that.
yes, yes, yeah,
Correct. So
yes,
that is why we said that okay, if a person, if we are assuming it as because this is the total fare that is given to you. So we are saying that, okay, if a person has paid around $8, he has paid a low amount. But when he has paid between 8 to 90, he has paid a medium amount. And more than that is going as a high amount.
Okay, okay, that I can do. So I thought that might be the wrong way. So I just do this embark on P class bifurcation and the analysis.
Because this is more like a, this is a hypothetical data that we have.
Yeah.
So we are just trying to use that up to get some insights out of
Oh,
it.
okay. Yeah, that's it, my. Thank you.
Amit, in real time, right? Because after your explanation, I got that point. Based on the upper class value, if it is greater than 8, we are just naming it as high in the calculated field, right? In real time, are we going to get those values from the, it's like if it is greater, then you can mark this, or do we need to frame by ourselves based on the cell range?
Mostly you will get it from that client, that case, right?
Okay,
Like they will
okay.
give you the range that
Okay.
this is what we have.
Yeah, because at first looking into this data set, we had so many questions and I couldn't figure out. So since you asked us to replicate, right, thought of replicating and we got the same question. And one more thing, oh, she stopped. Oh, can I
I
share?
can say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, can I share my screen quickly? One
Yes.
more out. Yeah. Yeah, this is the one you already answered. Okay. Yeah, I try to replicate this. This is my Tableau file. See, I have two panes. I have created a calculated field for this, and based on this, I just replicated in my original data Tubex file. How they got these two panes? This might be a silly doubt, but I couldn't replicate this. I was concentrating on the calculations. Rather, see.
I can't see that. I see this tableau right now.
Wait, I'll just this one. Can you see now? Two panes they have, right? Died, survived. Under the family, died, survived. How they have separated this? I'm not getting while doing.
You just have to put it in that column zone.
Sir.
So after gender, you have to just drag the fields in that chart over there.
No, I'm not getting your point.
So when you go to that chart,
okay.
I don't see it. I see the PDF right now.
See, this is the original tube shared. I can able to replicate this because based on the calculated columns, I followed the same manner. Here, died and survived. They have separated these two things, right? I try to add this via edit alias. I'm not getting this column.
We have to add it in the column. So you see, first it is added over there. That is family or single.
Yeah, I can get
then
it.
After that,
yeah.
Then after that, you have to drag another field that is survival status. Then after that, you add the gender. So gender comes at the bottom, and then you have family single, and then you have bifurcation.
No, I can able to replicate this thing. This is not coming for me. These two separations. I don't know why.
This file that you have opened up right now this is what you have created, or is what I'm
no,
not able to get it.
This is mine. This is mine. Can you able to see now? This is my file.
I see this where I can see the bifurcation died and survived. Family died and survived. The Tableau file that I see right now, and that I can see that bifurcation. Family died and survived.
Can you see now this one?
Now I see it. So basically,
yeah, see, I try to replicate the same thing. Why I'm not getting those text or two columns? I can able to get the graph correctly. Those two died or survived. Those text I'm not getting it.
Can you show me that column of survival status? The survived status. Right click on this. Edit.
edit in shell for alias?
Edit in shell. One second. Do one thing. Come on the left side in the data pane. From there, do it. Survival status.
I can give it an yes, right? Why to use else if? I can simply give else, right?
You can.
I can simply give the else, right? Because this is from the original data set. I tried if the measure count is 0, obviously no more passengers survived. So else part I can give survived.
I can't see the calculation actually.
Can you see now?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is calculation field for that. This is how it has been done. My question here is, instead of giving, see, obviously if survival, that measure value 0, obviously it is known, died. Else if they have, why they have compared this equal to 1, then survived?
See, it was more I mean, you are saying that you have copied, I mean, you have picked that calculation from there on.
Yeah.
That survived equal to 0. So it's like, yeah, it's very common. So you can write else also, right? If survived equal to 1, then died way. Else.
Because
so you can write that also.
Yeah, one condition is more than enough, right? If that measure equal to 0, died, else survived.
Right.
Okay. And why it is not coming for me, this died and that text for me?
Can you add a new sheet once?
Okay.
Now just drag that field of family, the family or children. So now you're getting it up, just interchange it, bring survive status after that, so it will make it the other way around. Right, then you pick up your this gender.
Yeah.
Right, so now you pick up the count.
It's coming now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this
and
is.
You have to just put that survival status in the color.
Yeah, but the question is correct, right? I can simply give else instead of giving check equal to 1. What does it mean actually?
Sorry?
No, what does it mean actually? Why they have put 1? Else if survived equal to 1.
I mean, it's the same thing, right? Either you write else equal to this or you create a condition for that. So both are correct, right? So we can't say that this is correct or why the question for that. Both are correct only.
Okay.
So either you write simply else or you write else and create that condition.
Okay.
Right? So it is like when you say else if, so it removes that redundancy of if suppose you have any missing data, right? So if suppose there was any 0 and 1 that was missing, okay, or by mistake there was some garbage data where instead of 0 and 1 something like 2 or 3 was coming. Okay. So that else will by default make everything as 1. But when you use else if, right, so it will make sure that 0 and 1 comes as 0 comes as died and 1 comes as survived, and rest of the values they will be shown the way they are. Okay. So that will just reduce the possibility of any other value. So that's it.
And normally we'll be getting more details about the requirements, what we are going to get from the client, right? Because by looking into the data set, half we can understand, but some of the things after getting explanation from you, we can able to get it. Normally this won't be the case, right? We'll be getting everything from the client.
I mean, you are asking about the field. What is the meaning of?
I mean, the requirements. I mean, the high level like requirements and its explanations.
So there is also data dictionary that is generally given with that data set, right? Like for example, if you see this data set right now, in that you can't identify like what is PAR and CH, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
at first I couldn't figure out. Yeah.
So for that we get that data dictionary as well, which is then which helps in basically to understand like what the meaning of that field is.
Okay. Even also the map field, right? They didn't give much information. I manually went and entered the latitude and longitude. Then only I can able to get the map.
Right, right. Though we get the data dictionary for that
Okay.
purpose.
And one more thing, Amit, in real time, right? Do you had a chance to pull data from NoSQL databases, and will Tableau support those things to create visualizations?
How you can do that? So I've not used NoSQL, MySQL Server, and MySQL. Those I have pulled the data from.
Okay, okay. Because unstructured NoSQL and all, it's like it supports JSON format, right? For example, this MongoDB. Will it work? Just
JSON
thought
file
of
from
asking.
MongoDB. It works. It works.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. This is
Okay.
Amit, I can't calculate how many children are there in the data sheet. Can you please explain? I'm not able to figure out.
How many?
Means how many children are there? I write the question in the chat box, chat window. And how should we see passengers' marital status?
Yes. So your question is like how many? I mean, we don't have to calculate how many children, right? Because we can't do that. We just have a count of parent and child, like whether the people were traveling with any of the parents or child. So that is what we are doing. And we are, if you're asking about something like marital status now, see in the marital status, what we have done is, again, for the marital status, we don't have any specific column over here to rectify like whether a person was, married or the person was unmarried. So we are just, creating that field on our best understanding. We are saying that if the name contains Mrs., right? Or if the name contains Mr. So based on that, because now the Mrs. is totally makes sense that, like if you see this is the name contains Mrs. So that means this lady is married. But Mr. is something, like whether the person is married or unmarried, for both of them, we use that Mr. over there. But we don't have any such classifier where I could say that, like whether the male is married or not. So for that particular purpose, what we are doing is, again, that calculation will not be 100% correct. So we are just going with this calculation over here, that if the name that you have, right? So we have a formula called contain. So let me just open this up. Tableau only, I'll show you the Tableau only. Okay, so what we're doing over here is, if I now create a new field, let's call it as marital status. So what I'm doing over here is I'm simply saying that if you have a formula like contains. right? So contain is like you are trying to test whether a particular column has a particular string or not. If I am saying if name contains your this value of Mrs., right? Or I am saying contains name equals to Mr. If the name contains Mrs. or Mr., right? Or, we also went with that situation. We added one more thing in this. You can take family size as well, right? I'm saying or family size okay, family size, I want to create it up. That is why it's not coming. So I'm saying if the name contains this or this, then we are calling it as the person is married or unmarried.
But there is it can be single also, right? If that person is Mr. some name, it can be single, right?
So that is why, what we are doing is, so that is what I was mentioning that, for the male, right? So for the male, we don't have that identification in this. For females, we have it, but for males, we don't have that bifurcation in this. So that is why you can also keep that family size. And if the family size is more than 2, now that can also mean that a person is married.
So but where it is family size, that is siblings, this one?
You have to create that up. That up. So family size is something we'll have to again create it up over here, which will be from here. Let's create this up now. This is the parent children. Family size will be parent children plus sibling spouse plus 1. I mean the number of parents and children he is traveling with, number of sibling and spouse, and he himself. Right? So apply and okay. Right? So we can add this field also into the condition now.
That means whatever is 1 means he is single, and 2 and more is married and they have children.
Right.
And the passenger class, there is class 1, there are lots of zero fare also, and even $5, $6 like that also.
And because in the data there are missing values. If you take a look at it, right? So there are a lot of missing values also. If you will see, like in the middle, you will the fare. I mean, you don't have it. Like in this, like if you see in this age, you have missing value zeros.
Yes.
Right. So like this is something we can't treat it as in because this is how the data is. Generally, what we do is there are people. What we do in that scenario is maybe we can replace the missing age with the average age, right? So what I will do is I will calculate the average age of the data, and wherever the value is missing, I will replace it with the average age, right? Or probably what I will do is I will remove such rows wherever the data is missing, because the data is missing, it means it can lead to some incorrect analysis. So depending how many rows are missing, suppose just 15-20 rows are missing and you have 10,000 rows with you, so you can delete that as well. But if you feel that data is the number of rows are more where the data is missing, so in that case we generally replace it with average value.
Then from Excel file, we have to delete the data or in the Tableau itself?
Sorry?
From the Excel file, we have to delete the data, whatever is 0, or from the Tableau data source there.
So you can, so from Tableau, you will not be able to do it.
Okay.
As in from that, from there also you can do it. I mean, you have to apply a filter in that case. So it's better to do it from the Excel only and then load the data. Right? Or you can do the same in the, and if you want to do it in the Tableau, you can just click on over here, add and add. So you can add that filter over here. So suppose you want to remove that age, you click age, and then you can just pick from there which values you want to remove. So that way you can remove it from here, or you can just remove it in the Excel and then load the data in the Tableau back.
Okay.
So shall I, any other question?
Can you please explain once that box plot of that marital status?
Yes. Which one?
Marital. Yeah, this one.
See, this is basically what we are seeing in this chart is. So basically this box plot is telling us like based on the marital status, right? So what we have done is right now just let's keep selected as in this female, right? So we're selecting the female over here. So this is telling us that the age distribution of the people who died and survived. So if you talk about females, right? So females who were married and the females who who died, their age was lying somewhere in this age starting from right about around this coming as this is around 10 up till 40, right? This is what the age was coming for those people. And similarly, the unmarried, right? The unmarried females who died, their age was lying in the range of 18 to the 30. 18 to 30, most of the females were lying in the age of 18 to 30 who were unmarried, right? And same way when you come to the survived, so survived age distribution is almost similar only with the married to the died versus the survived over here, right? Same way if you pick up the male over here now. So for the male, if you will see the people, this is for died and this is for survived. So for the people who were married, right, and who died, so their probably age, mostly their age was lying over here, right, about from 21 to 40 over here. And if you see the people who were unmarried, so those males, their range, the age distribution was lying between 33 to around 54. So this is what this box plot is telling us. And you can see there are some outliers also, right? There is some age that is coming as very low, almost as 0 only. And similarly in the survived also, you have some outliers, right? So this box plot actually gives...
Well, we can reach the, I mean, this, we using bar charts also, right? Like But why they have opted for this box plots, I couldn't understand.
You won't be able to get it with the help of bar chart, right? Because what bar chart will do is that will aggregate the data, right? It will sum the edges. You can't see independent. Now, if you see, this is a bubble for a particular, passenger. So there's a passenger whose ID is 852. He was male and his age is 74. But when you make a bar chart, right? So in the bar chart,
Yeah,
like you have
histograms.
so in the bar chart now you can't figure it out. Like it has aggregated that count total. Histogram again is something that shows you the distribution. How many people were there who died for a particular age?
Okay, for
Right?
individual data we can get in this box plot.
Yes, yes. So histogram will tell you like, okay, there are 50 people who are in the age of 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20 likewise. So that is what the histogram will show you.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So now what we'll do is let me just open up this fresh Tableau file. So what we'll do, let's bring the data of the sample superstore in the See now, like what we do is basically suppose let's create a chart over here. Okay. So I'll put up this product. Let's pick up this field like product name. Okay. Now, for example, just try to see over here in this chart. Suppose these are the different product names that you have. Okay. Now, if I bring, suppose a field like the order ID in this over here. Okay. Now what happens over here is you can see that. Can anyone explain me what is this chart right now? I have brought product name and I brought the order ID. So you see right now this chart that I have created. So I'm saying this product that you have, that is Cubic Food Compact Cube Office Refrigerators. Now this product was purchased in this order now, right? In order ID, this order item was purchased. This was purchased and this order item was purchased. This order item and likewise. So what happens is basically in Tableau you have a feature of which is called as an attribute right now. So what you can do is you can just right click on this order ID and you can convert it into an attribute from here. Right. So when you convert that field into an attribute, so what basically that attribute means over here is it is just trying to define that this is one attribute. See, right? What is the meaning of an attribute? Attribute means properties, right? Attribute as a literal meaning or an English meaning of an attribute is properties. So what we are saying over here is that we are saying that if that particular order was purchased in more than one order, so it is giving you star, right? And if it was only purchased in one order, it gives you that particular single value, right? So for that particular product, if the order IDs, if you have converted that order ID into an attribute now, so it just is like something you are trying to bifurcate, like whether it is present once or it is present more than once, right? So that is what an attribute will do for you. So if you convert that field into an attribute, so I can see like, these are the fields. This particular order was purchased in, this product was purchased in multiple order IDs. But if you see where it is coming only once, That means that particular order was purchased only in one of that orders. So the advantage of that you can get is, suppose you want to see, you want to apply it as a filter, for example. So you can easily figure it out that, okay, right, like which are those products which were purchased in multiple orders. So you can see that, right? So you can now over here see, you want to see only those products which are only purchased by one customer at a time. So I can say that all except this. So these are some orders that are having very low demand, I will say, right? These were just purchased in one orders over here. So I can easily identify that. So this is where, you know, what I have done is I have converted that field into an attribute right now. Right? If I just
oh, sorry. It's like one product ordered many times. So you're converting that to attribute, right?
Attribute, yes.
Okay, okay.
So attribute just gives you that the bifurcation, one or many.
Okay, one to many. Okay.
So like, for example, if you pick this field over here, let's bring region. Let's bring sales probably. Right. So now, you know, suppose let's do one thing. Let us create this over here. Right? Okay, so this is region and this is the sales over here. Suppose, you know, what I want to do is, if suppose I am saying that I want to show the total sales, I'm saying if the region is central, right? If the region is central, then I want to show the total sales, and otherwise I would like to show the average sales. Correct? This is what I want to show now. I'm saying if the region is central, then I want to show the sum of sales. Otherwise, I want to show the average sales if any other region is present. So what I'm doing over here is, suppose I create a new field. Let's create a calculate field. Right, so this I'm calling it as attribute calculation. And I'm saying that if region is equal to central, then I am saying sales and this. Just make this field. Right, so if I just do this and I bring this over here, you can see, right? So this is the sales coming and others are coming as black. Okay. Now what you do over here is, because over here I had to show the average now. So what I do now is, right now it is for average, I have not given the calculation. So I right click and edit on this. Now I come over here and I'm going to say that if region equal to this, then sales. Now in this, if I add a else condition, that else I want to see the average of sales, right? This is the calculation that I want to do. That if the region is central, then I want to see the sum of sales. And else I would like to see the average sales. Right? You see this gives you an error over here. Cannot mix aggregate and non-aggregate comparisons. Right? Why do I get that aggregate and non-aggregate over here is because of this. This is one region and all other are becoming every other region. So what I will have to do in this case also is, I'll have to make use of an attribute over here to get that output now. So attribute can be applied as a function also. So I can see attr. If attribute of region is equals to central, then I want sum of sales. Otherwise, I want average of sales. So you can apply it from here as well. Right. So right now you see the field is giving you an error. Not a problem. You just have to drag and drop that field one more time. And you can now see it is giving you the average. Average for these and sum for this. Just a second. Okay, right? Are we sorted on this, everyone?
Can you show that calculated field once?
Okay. Shall I go ahead? Okay. Right. So this is, and one more thing, like we were discussing, that I wanted to show you a Pareto chart, right? So how you can make a Pareto chart in Tableau. So we can do that as well, right? The explanation I gave you, right? Like 80% rule, right? 80-20 rule that you have. So if you have to create that Pareto chart, right, over here in Tableau. So how we make that is, you just have to drag and drop. Suppose, like I want to see that which are the categories which contributed to the 80% of the sales. Correct? That is where, that Pareto rule is used. Basically 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule. Okay, Pareto rule says that basically, like there are 20% of the items that contribute to the 80% of the work done. So suppose I want to figure out which are those subcategories which are contributing to the 80% of the sales. So what I will do over here is I'll just make a chart. Suppose I pick up not category, let's pick subcategory, because subcategories are higher in number. And I make that chart over here right now. And I will sort them in the descending order. So we can see this was the sales generated by each of the subcategories. Okay. Now in Pareto chart, what we basically do is we actually calculate the running sum, right? Because if I have to calculate the overall 80% sales, I will have to keep on adding the sales over here. So probably what I will do is I will bring the sales one more time over here. And what happens now is the chart becomes, you see two charts over here, sum of sales up and down. Now what I'll do is I will change one of the chart, maybe the bottom chart, into a line chart, right? So I've converted this into a line chart. And then I bring a dual axis over here. I convert it into a dual axis chart. So the charts will just overlap. So when you overlap these charts, what happens is the above chart got changed into bubble by mistake, automatically just convert it back to bar chart. So right, just do this part up till here. Then it's just one single step that we need to do. Okay. Then what you do is this sum of sales you have, you just apply a table calculation on this. That is running total. Right. And this is where your Pareto chart is created. Okay. So now you can see that this is a running total, and you can see that this is the sales for phones. This is the phones plus chair. This is phones plus chair plus storage on the line, right? So the line is giving you the summing running total. But definitely we would like to do this calculation in the form of a percentage. So I can right click on this and I can say over here as the edit table calculation. And in this, we actually have to apply one more calculation where I will say calculate the percent of total. And the output will come in the form of percentage. So you can see that this is the sale. And let's add a reference line, constant line over here on the sum of sales like this, 80%. So this is where 80% is coming. So these are the categories or subcategories which are contributing to the 80% of the sales. Right? So this is called as a Pareto chart now. Right? Any question, anyone on this? This is what you have in Tableau, right? So this is where I think the journey for the Tableau also comes to the end over here. But I think there are a lot of more stuff, right? So what I can suggest you is try to explore and try to create some other charts, right? What I'll be doing is a small thing. Did I share one video link with all of you on that day? Hans Rosling video. Did you all get a chance to watch that video? On the last session that we had. Right, so did you watch that video? So how, right, if you would have noticed it, so it was an interesting video, right? I mean, in terms of how the visualizations and everything was being shown, that the chart that was created, animation chart, and he was trying to explain that how basically the things were changing when, I mean, over a period of time, that how the life family size reduced and the life expectancy increased. So I'll share that data with you, right? So I have that data with me of that animation chart that we all created. So you can try to create that same chart if you want. So I have this data with me over here, right? So the data where you have all that thing, what is the population, fertility rate, and life expectancy. So that data is given. So you can use this data to create the same exact chart in your Tableau, right? So I'll share this. Right. So I'll just share the data with all of you. The animation chart. So that's it.
Amit,
Right,
you
so,
said you'll explain LOD concepts.
Sorry?
LOD concepts, level of detail concepts. You said you will explain that.
LOD. Okay. See, generally we don't use that much. Yes, so I can just explain you this. See, basically what happens is basically LOD stands for level of detail. Right. So when it comes to this, so for example, level of detail means that at what level do you want to represent your chart now, right? So basically we have the formulas, right? Like include, exclude. Okay. So now, for example, if you add a chart over here, okay, and suppose I am trying to make a chart at the basis of we have country and state. Okay, let's bring the country, for example, and I bring the state also in this. Okay, this chart is now showing me that this is the sales of state now. Okay, and I bring the sales over here, and I bring the sales over here into the, suppose, tooltip for now. Let's just show you that. So this is giving you the sales in Montana. This is giving you the sales in North Dakota. So you can see the sales across all the different states. Okay. Now, what I would like to do over here is, suppose I want to showcase the average sale per city. I want to show the average sale per city now. Just 1 second. Right. So now you know what I want to do over here is I want to show the average sales per city. Okay, suppose this is what I want to show in this right now. So right now, if you will change the calculation to average, if I change the calculation to average over here, so do you think this is average sales per city? Right? If I open that up, that data set right now, sample superstore. Okay. So my goal is that I want to calculate the average sale per city for each state. And let me pick one of the states over here. Suppose that was Montana, right? That I was showing you then that point in time. Okay, so if I show you Montana, so when you calculate the average right away, when you say average of sales, what is going to happen in that case is it is going to add up the sales and divide it by the number of rows. So which comes out to be as 372. And you will see this 372 is the number that will be coming over here, right? 373 rounded off. So you get the same number over here. But technically, if you will see, this was not asked. My requirement was average sale per city. So how many cities do I have in this? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 cities. So technically the sum of sales should be 5589 divided by 5, right? So equals to 5589 divided by 5. So that comes out to be as 1117. So what we have to do in that scenario is we have to just create a calculation. I will say create calculated field. I'll call it as include, and I'll say include city. That for doing the calculation, I want to include the city, and I will be doing the sum of whenever we are doing the sum of sales. So I want to include city in that, right? So this is how you write that include now. So you write this include city sum of sales, and you close the parenthesis, apply, and okay. Now your include is created. So if I bring this also into the tooltip, right now it is sum, which is giving me the overall sum. But if you change this to average now, so you see you get the same number 1118 now. Now it is giving you the average sale per city. So it is including city for the calculation of sales now. Okay, so this is, we call it as a level of detail. At what level we are trying to see that information. Getting it, everyone?
So where do we use this actually in real time?
Real time is this only like level is like the chart was at different level, right? Basically, if you see the chart is at state level,
Yeah.
but calculation we are trying to show at city level, right? So that is where we use this, right? When your chart is at some different level, but calculation has to be of a different level. So that is where we use it.
Okay.
Right. Similarly, like something you have like exclude now. Suppose if I make this same thing now, if I bring the country, state, and I bring the city also, right? So now what I want to do over here is I want to do the opposite of this. Right now the chart is at state level, city level, right? Every state has multiple cities. Montana has 5 cities. So what I want is that if I hover on any of the state, if I hover on any of the city, I should also be able to see the total sum of sales for that state, right? Right now, if I will bring the sales, it will show me the sales for that city. That in Montana, for the city Great Falls, this was the sale. For Helen, this was the sale. For Montana, for Missoula, this was the sale. So I can see the sale for each city right now. But what if I want to see the sale for this entire state also, right? Like if I hover on this city, it should also give me the sale for the entire Montana. So what I can do in that case is I can again create a calculated field. I'll call it as exclude, and I will say exclude city. Now I want to exclude city for calculating the sum of sales, right? So when I do this, right? So now if I bring the exclude in the tooltip, so it will give you the total sale of Montana also, right? 5589, 5589, 5589. So you can see I have made the chart at city level, but I am showing the calculation at the state level.
So wherever you hover the city inside that state, the same sum will be shown, right? At the state level.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So this is what we have in the context of the level of details.
Amit, you said you'll be showing us how to build, data from Azure or any cloud. Will that be possible?
Cloud, it won't be possible because for that we need a subscription. For cloud, you have to buy a license of that. The account has to be created and it's like a paid service. But it's like a database only, right? Like, for example, if you are over here in this, you want to pull the data from SQL Server. So basically in cloud also what happen is that you pick this only SQL Server only, right? Azure. So basically what happens is like when we talk of cloud, so cloud basically doesn't mean that data is coming from cloud. On the cloud also there will be some database that will be installed. It can be SQL Server, it could be SQL, MySQL or any other thing. So what we do is in that case, the server address changes. The address of that server will change. So when you install your, when you have a database on any of the cloud, so right now if you see, we put the local address over here, right? We put the local,
Yeah.
this is the local machine. In that case, you will get a hyperlink, right? You will get a web link, which you will have to put over here, right? So when you put that hyperlink, so the same thing happens. I mean, long time back, I took a subscription, but then after that, the subscription has expired because I was not using that up.
Okay. Basically, we need to give the URL, right? And the
Right.
database name. Okay.
And the data will be pulled up. So I will show you something. I mean, I just have that link with me. It will not go through.
So whatever it's from Azure or from AWS, we'll be provided with all those details, right? The link and
The link will be given to you and the ID password will be given to you. You just have to put that up.
Okay. Okay.
So like, for example, if you connect like this, so that looks something like this. You get the link like this. You just have to put that server name as this.
Okay.
And then you put your login ID and password.
Okay.
So that you would have created. So you click on connect. So basically, because my subscription has been expired. So that's the only thing. Otherwise, everything remains the same. The database will come up, tables will come up, and then you can start consuming that data.
Is there a direct connection if we try to get data, or are we going to save this in our local and we start with our exploration analysis, or how
data will come from the cloud only. So we will not save it on our machine, right? So the data will come from, so everything will be coming from cloud.
Okay.
Because if it comes from the local server, so it becomes a local database. So this SQL server is just a client. So I'm just giving that the data has to come from this server now. So it will pull everything. So whatever query you will write, that query will be fired on that cloud. And the data will be pulled from there.
Yeah, my concern is like we don't have the development pre-prod protection environment like that here in cloud. So I'm just thinking, how can I work on the data analysis or how it goes? Because apart from insert, I can do analysis if I straightly connect to the cloud. So I'm just thinking in that way. As a data analyst, we don't have those development, all those practice environments here, right?
Right, right. I mean, you can create that if you want. So generally, we don't have it on the cloud, but you can maintain that. So if you want to have different environments of production, development, and QA, so we can do that, where we can create multiple environments. But generally, it is not done because the clouds have the property of maintaining a history. So because of that, so you can anytime revert back to any level of change that you might would have done. So I mean, it's a little bit of a different track altogether, right? Like how that Azure database works. There are a lot of other things that comes into picture. So we have to create an account, and there is a, the pay per click and pay per, the payment that we have to pay, starting the services, ending the services. So there are a lot of things that come into the picture. But from an analyst perspective, you will be simply pulling the data from there, and anything you do, so data comes from the cloud, and then you start with the analysis process.
Okay.
And yes, Lakshmi, you can write the R code as well if you want. So you can write, so you have a function. So you need to install a package that is rsert. So there's a package that you have to install in your R, and then you have a function in the Tableau that is rscript. So you actually have to create a calculated field for that. So you have a function called rscript. Script of this. We have to use the script functions. So you just have to copy and paste your R codes, and you can write that up over here.
Amit, to prepare for any certification, right? Example for this Tableau. So what are all the, do you have any reference materials or the protocols? Like, because if I go and see in the Tableau website, they do have some materials, but how do I prepare myself for the certification?
As such, you will not find any material for that, because there are two certifications that you have: Tableau Certified Specialist, and one is Tableau Desktop Associate.
Yeah.
So you can go for you should go for the associate one, right? Because it's a little more advanced. Don't go for the certified specialist, right? Because that's a basic one. So from the job perspective, it's like the associate one that has more value. So you can.
Can we do this? I mean, associate by bypassing the specialist. Is that allowed or no?
You can do that. So you can do any one of them, whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay.
You can go with that. So as such, there are no questions and all. I mean, you will find some online websites that help, right? Take the test and all, where you can just have a little bit of a flavor that what type of questions will come. So that is it, because on the website also they have given you some sample questions, like what type of questions they will ask you in that examination. So you can refer to them, and based on that, you can go for it.
Yeah, that day you told you will be giving us the sample interview questions. Will you be giving by end of this training, or
sample question of what?
Interview questions.
Interview questions, I mean, see, interview questions are like this, just the topics only that are asked, right? Like what exactly is the data blending? What's the difference between a grouping and set, right? So interview questions generally come from these topics, where the question can be, right, they will give you small data set, and they will ask you to create a chart in front of you in that interview process itself. So that is generally how the interview of Tableau goes in. Like the main of the broad topics, right? Like how do you define a parameter, right? What is the difference between a parameter and a calculated field, right? So then how will you decide whether you have to go for a data blending or you have to go for a data join? Or how do you apply the filters to across the different data sources? What are table calculations? So these type of typical questions are generally asked, right, when you go for an interview. So they're more of scenario based, right? Like if this is a stuff that you want to analyze now, so how we will do it. So that is what you do in that.
Okay.
Right, so typically you should spend, right now you already have a lot of data sets, right? So now
Yeah.
the onus comes to you, right? Like how you guys are going to use those data sets. It's like one is that I have given you the question and then I have given you the task, that this chart that you have to create. Now you have to pick the same data sets, different data sets, and apply all the functionalities on the multiple different data sets now and try to come up that, okay, if I have a UK bank data set, how I can, apply, do the different grouping over there. How can I work with the set over there? So that is what you should be now working on.
Okay.
Right, so there were some data sets that I shared in the Power BI as well. So you can use those data sets as well to create your Tableau reports and dashboards. Okay. So this is where we'll stop for today. And if still you get any doubts and all, definitely we can discuss them at a point in time. And after this, we will be starting off with Python now, right? So the Python training will be starting off with.
What do we need to install for Python?
Just install Anaconda.
Anaconda, okay.
So this is the link. You will find. Okay. Somewhere you will find it.
Why are we going for this toolkit? We can use, for Python, we can use this as well, right? PyCharm or...
So this Anaconda is basically an installer, right? So it gives you all those IDs in one place. You don't need to go for different. So you will find all the things over there. Your Jupyter Notebook, PyCharm, Spider, everything are available in this installer.
Okay.
So we will be learning the Python using the Jupyter Notebook.
Okay. If I download this thing, it includes everything. You mean to say Python, everything?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. So then let's connect tomorrow and you can just download this so we can take the things from here.
Yeah. Thank you for the session.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.